Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the life and legacy of one of America's most iconic figures, John F. Kennedy. His story is one of glamour, ambition, tragedy, and a vision that continues to inspire millions around the world. So, grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore the man behind the myth. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, or JFK as he was affectionately known, was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was the second of 9 children in a powerful and wealthy Irish-American family. His father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., was a successful businessman and a formidable political figure who served as the ambassador to the United Kingdom. From a young age, the Kennedy children were instilled with a fierce competitive spirit and a deep sense of public duty. The expectation was clear. They were destined for greatness. Young Jack, as he was called, was often plagued by health issues, suffering from various illnesses throughout his childhood and into adulthood. Despite this, he projected an image of vigor and vitality. He was charismatic, witty, and had a natural charm that drew people to him. He attended prestigious schools, culminating in his graduation from Harvard University in 1940. His senior thesis, Why England Slept, which analyzed the British response to Hitler's rise, was so well received that it was published as a book and became a bestseller. This early success gave a glimpse of the sharp intellect that would later define his political career. Then, the world was plunged into World War II, and like many young men of his generation, JFK answered the call to duty. He joined the U.S. Navy and was given command of a patrol torpedo boat, the PT-109, in the South Pacific. In August 1943, his boat was rammed and sunk by a Japanese destroyer. Kennedy's actions in the aftermath were nothing short of heroic. Despite his own severe back injuries, he towed a badly burned crewman through the water for hours, clenching the man's life vest strap in his teeth until they reached a nearby island. He then risked his life several more times to find food and secure a rescue for his surviving crew. For his bravery, he was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal and a Purple Heart. His war hero status would become a cornerstone of his future political campaigns. After the war, JFK decided to enter politics. His older brother, Joe Jr., who the family had groomed for a political career, had tragically been killed in the war. Jack felt it was his duty to carry on the family's political ambitions. In 1946, he successfully ran for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, representing a working-class district in Boston. He served 3 terms before setting his sights higher. In 1952, he challenged the incumbent Republican Senator Henry Cabot Lodge Jr. and won in a stunning upset. During his time in the Senate, Kennedy continued to build his national profile. He married the elegant and sophisticated Jacqueline Bouvier in 1953, and the couple quickly became one of the most glamorous in Washington. They were the epitome of style and grace, capturing the public's imagination. In 1956, Kennedy published another book, Profiles in Courage, which chronicled the stories of 8 U.S. senators who had defied their parties for the sake of their principles. The book won a Pulitzer Prize and further cemented his reputation as a thoughtful and principled leader. By 1960, the stage was set for his biggest campaign yet, the presidency. Kennedy announced his candidacy for the Democratic nomination, facing a tough primary battle. One of the biggest obstacles he had to overcome was his Catholic faith. At the time, there was widespread anti-Catholic prejudice, and many believed a Catholic president would be beholden to the Pope. Kennedy confronted this issue head-on in a famous speech to Protestant ministers in Houston, Texas. He declared his firm belief in the separation of church and state, reassuring voters that his decisions would be guided by his conscience and the national interest, not by religious doctrine. He secured the nomination and went on to face the Republican candidate, Vice President Richard Nixon, in the general election. The 1960 election was groundbreaking for its use of televised debates. The first debate, in particular, proved to be a turning point. On radio, listeners thought Nixon had won. But on television, the visual contrast was stark. Kennedy appeared cool, confident, and tan, while Nixon, recovering from an illness, looked pale, sweaty, and uncomfortable under the studio lights. This new medium of television showcased Kennedy's charisma and youthful energy, giving him a crucial edge. The election was one of the closest in American history, but Kennedy emerged victorious. On January 20, 1961, John F. Kennedy was sworn in as the 35th President of the United States. He was the youngest man ever elected to the office. His inaugural address is one of the most famous in history, filled with powerful and inspiring rhetoric. He challenged a generation of Americans to be active citizens, famously declaring, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." This call to service resonated deeply and set the tone for his presidency, which he called the New Frontier. The Kennedy administration was immediately faced with the immense pressures of the Cold War. One of his earliest tests was the disastrous Bay of Pigs invasion in April 1961, a failed CIA-backed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro in Cuba. Kennedy took full responsibility for the failure, an act that paradoxically increased his popularity. But the most dangerous moment of his presidency, and perhaps of the entire Cold War, came in October 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Union was discovered to be secretly installing nuclear-armed missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the Florida coast, capable of striking major U.S. cities within minutes. For 13 terrifying days, the world stood on the brink of nuclear war. Kennedy's administration debated its options, from an immediate military strike to a diplomatic solution. JFK chose a middle path, a naval quarantine of Cuba to prevent more missiles from arriving, while engaging in tense back-channel negotiations with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. Through a combination of firm resolve and careful diplomacy, the crisis was peacefully resolved. The Soviets agreed to remove the missiles in exchange for a U.S. pledge not to invade Cuba and a secret agreement to remove U.S. missiles from Turkey. On the domestic front, Kennedy championed civil rights, although progress was slow and met with fierce resistance. He called civil rights a moral issue and proposed a comprehensive civil rights bill, though it would not be passed until after his death. His vision also extended beyond our planet. In 1961, in a bold speech to Congress, Kennedy announced the ambitious goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth before the end of the decade. This ignited the space race, a massive mobilization of scientific and technological resources that culminated in the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. He also established the Peace Corps, an organization that sent young American volunteers abroad to help with projects in developing nations, embodying his call to service. The Kennedy White House was often compared to Camelot, the mythical court of King Arthur, a place of hope, idealism, and culture. Jackie Kennedy led a historic restoration of the White House, and the couple hosted elegant events that celebrated artists, writers, and Nobel laureates. The public was captivated by the young, vibrant first family. But this bright era of hope and promise came to a devastating and abrupt end. On November 22, 1963, while campaigning in Dallas, Texas, President Kennedy was assassinated as his motorcade drove through Dealey Plaza. He was just 46 years old. The nation and the world were plunged into shock and grief. His alleged assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was himself murdered 2 days later, fueling decades of debate and conspiracy theories about what really happened that day. John F. Kennedy's presidency lasted just over 1,000 days, but his impact was immense. He left behind a legacy of inspiration, a belief in the power of public service, and a sense of optimism for the future. He challenged Americans to reach for the stars, to fight for justice, and to work for peace. Though his time in office was tragically short, his words and his vision continue to echo through the generations, reminding us of the potential for greatness that lies within us all. Thanks so much for watching. What part of JFK's story do you find most compelling? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more historical deep dives. We'll see you in the next one.